All right, hello everyone. So today we're going to be doing a little tutorial for Game Master. This will probably be broken down into multiple parts, but we're going to go over the more simplistic stuff for PvE game mastering in terms of your AI, right? And the fundamentals of making a mission. So here we're starting off. We're going to use this military site for our glorious mission here. So first things first, right? We want to have a basic understanding of like what mission we want to do, right? Storytelling, all that jazz. That's on you. I'm not going to do it for you. I'm not going to hold your little hand, okay? But here we're gonna use the military site. Let's say the story is they're gonna infiltrate and eliminate a VIP in the in this like little command building here. Cool, super simple. So we're just strictly going to focus on this compound. We're not going to worry about, oh, there's a gate here and there's an airfield. Like, no. I'm just going to strictly stay here, right? And what I'm going to demonstrate is kind of how I utilize, this is base game, mind you, but how I utilize the different commands and stuff for the AI to kind of get them to make them do what you want. Because it can be a little hard. There are some mods out there that we use to help us, give us more options in kind of bullying the AI into doing what we want. But for this demonstration, right, it is completely vanilla. There's no modifications on here. So first things we're going to go in here is the great old entity browser. So normally what I do is I will have it kind of set up where my enemy forces are going to be here, right? So I have all my infantry and stuff like that. And obviously, I don't need to place players down. So I will use the enemy faction vehicles, right? And then here I might have some systems in terms of some map building with the anti-tank mines. Maybe I want to make a little minefield over here, right in between this area or outside here. Or maybe I want to put some nice weapon rack details, right? So for example, we know this is a little guard shack. So a cool little thing that we could do is place a little weapon rack here. That way too, it makes it feel like, this is like a more of a guard shack, right? It's like the little niche details. 9 times out of 10, people are gonna be like, "Oh, okay." Anyways, and move on with their life, right? But if you want to get more in depth at mission making, it's something to look at. And then usually here in the early stages, I'll use composition and switch between that and object. Right? These are going to be the tools you're actively using while the mission is going forward. Right. But first things first, the AI, right? So we all know Arma AI can be a little finicky. So in this, I'll kind of show you how I utilize the AI. So for our first little group here, we're going to use a fire team. Right, got our little troops here, and we'll go and unpause the game, right? Because if you're in a server, it won't be paused. So, thought process is the gate. These guys are guarding the gate, right? So what you can do is just do a little defense marker here, right? And he's gonna issue out the orders, and they're gonna walk over here, right? So while they're walking over there, we'll let them chill. Right, they're guarding the gate. I don't even know how he telepathically opened that, but whatever. Right, so they're posted up at this position. Right, they're gonna walk around, just having a good time. He's gonna come in here, open the doors. It's a pretty big defense radius, and you notice you can't really do much with these things, so it's kind of annoying. Now, let's say I wanted to have this maneuver team patrol around the outside of the building. So we could place it down. We have the group settings here, right? So we can set fire at will, return fire, or hold fire, right? And really the only time you're going to use these is if you do like a stealth mission, right? And let's be real, the AI is going to find you, right, if you're laying in a bush. But you could turn on hold fire and they won't immediately like shoot, right? They'll kind of spook up and be like, oh, there's somebody there. For example, if I spawn in myself, we'll go in, right there on hold fire. They notice me. This is also a cool thing. The AI, unless you're in their field, there we go. Unless you're in their cone, their field cone, they will not spot you, right? And they won't do this whole little, hey, we're gonna shoot you. All right. Act like I stink or something. So it's kind of nice too when you're thinking about developing a stealth mission, right? But for example, get myself out. They'll go back to being vibing on the beat. Over here, you can change their health settings. I wouldn't really mess with it. Now, normally, you can set them to like crouch and do all that cool stuff, right? But base game doesn't really let you do any of that stuff. So I do highly encourage using AI mods if you want a really good PvE scenario, right? But for the basics, right, most likely they're going to go guns blazing, blowing everything up, and, you know, you don't really have to do anything like that. But, so we're going to get them to do a little patrol. And you'll notice it's got a little line here, right? And that's showing what priority waypoint they've been given. So we're going to go all the way around here. And I like to put them at all the curves, just because I feel like that's the smartest thing. All right. Now that we have set the loop, right, and keep this, right, and it will continuously cycle. You notice how the black line went from this one, the most recently placed. Well, now it knows, oh, hey, this is a patrol route. So now I have these cute little guys, look at them, just doing their job. Now they're going to be just doing a patrol, right? So they're going to follow this path, they're going to go there, they're going to go there, right? And so you'll notice too on here, I used move relaxed because this keeps him walking, right? But if I wanted to, I could also do a move, just a regular move. He's going to give the order, and they're going to kind of jog a little bit to the area, right? Which, if you're on a patrol, you're not going to be jogging. So we're going to be da 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 da. They're going to go ahead and jog over there now. Ooh. We'll keep using the maneuver team. Now we have forced move. And really the only time this works is if you're doing a forced retreat, right? There are specifics on which you would want to use this, and it actually makes sense, right? So if I tell them to do a forced move, it's just going to be like anything else. They're going to fucking haul at a, looks like a jogging pace. They're going to jog on over there. But the key difference is if I'm shooting at them, they will not stop. So we're going to go over here, just so we don't disturb our current AI. And we're going to say, hey, I want you to move over here forcefully. He's going to give the command. I'm going to get game right here. Blow this thing up. So they're going to jog. So you'll notice when they see me, they shouldn't, keyword here, shouldn't, stop. Right, so they most definitely see me. They're still moving. They're acting like I literally don't exist. Look at that. Oh, I think I shot him in the leg. He just got knocked out. Dude doesn't care. He keeps moving, right? So in theory, you would utilize this as like a forced retreat. Like, okay, yeah, we want to pull him out at whatever necessary cost, right? And it kind of gives that like, oh, run away, right? So that's pretty much the only time, right? Because any other time you're going to want him to react to the contact there. So another one of your AI commands that you'll have, and we'll come over here, is the search and destroy, right? So utilizing this would be, all right, our friendly forces are garrisoned in here. We know there's enemies there. We want them to go find and destroy the enemy. So you give the command, right? They're gonna be combat ready. All right. So once you see, right, there's that, you could definitely tell there's a little bit of a a little like click in their brain, like, all right, we're at the objective. We need to search, right? So now they're in that combat ready. They're crouching around, trying to search around. They're sticking in groups and stuff. And this is what I find really cool about the Arma AI here with the infusion, is how they stick together. These guys are providing cover. Now they're moving in. These guys they went back here, checked the rear of the building. They're clearing it out. They're sticking together as a group. Now, one frag grenade take these guys out, right? And I'm not really sure what they're all looking at. Right? But, yeah, okay. Yeah, those guys are still going to there. But these guys are going to move as a team. They're going to search and clear the building. I don't know why their heads are up, right? But these guys are supposed to be, quote-unquote, supposed to be covering covering these guys as they search the building. And they didn't find anything, so they're just going to... They're talking to each other, which is also nice, too, because, like, say you're hiding in this building and you hear them talking and running around and stuff. You're like, oh, shit. And you can use this in, like, a stealth mission, too, right? And if you want them to find them, obviously, like, depending on how well they hid is how quickly they're going to get found. Now, let's check on our original fire team here. Look at that. Super awesome. They're patrolling in there. You got a guy watching the back door. I think he's probably stuck. Got this other guy kind of out in the area, right? So it makes for kind of an alive mission because they're not just stagnant entities. Now, we'll place a fire team down over here. And the next ones you have get in, which is obviously get a person in a vehicle. So, for example, we will use a good old-fashioned Ural. But hey, get in. Tell them to get in, they'll get in. Usually the highest rank one will drive. And then we can tell them, hey, I want you to get out down here. So now he's going to start the truck, drive over there, and then they're going to disembark, right? So while he's driving, you also have suppressing fire and artillery fire. So we're going to get these guys over here, and we're going to say, hey, suppress that. Suppress that building. They're going to get up, and they're just going to start shooting in that area. Right, so if you know they're in that building, and that would be reasonable for the enemy to have that knowledge, yep, and then they go get out, then you could just have them suppress it, right? We're just going to put pressure on them, and then now you can tell them to move. It's kind of chaotic. We got guys shooting and everything. Now you can tell them, like, hey, go over there. So very nice. That guy just put a 40mm, like, right in front. So use it a lot, especially if you know there's a position rather than waiting. And you could do some pretty cool stuff, right? So in theory, you could say, hey, I want this group to suppress and this group to force move on a flank over here and then over here. So now here's what's going to happen. They're going to suppress. These guys are going to go to the order 1, and they're going to go to order 2. I wish I could make them run faster. No. So this way, too, if they were, like, for, say, take fire, they're going to continue on with their mission. So now, I could be in this blown-up building thinking, oh, I'm taking fire from over here as I'm getting flanked, right? And that's how you set up flanks with AI. Now they're coming over, doing a loop-de-loop and pull. Now they're going to get posted up in there. And then from here, you can hit them with a search and destroy. So, pretty cool. A lot of like actual tactics with utilizing the AI. It's kind of like playing RTS a little bit. But you got to keep in mind the goal isn't to absolutely wreck the players, because usually people don't find that very fun, but to give them an actual challenge that's pretty realistic. Now, another thing that you can do too, and it sometimes works, sometimes doesn't. With the new update, it's a little finicky, but you could put a defend marker on a building. And normally, they'll patrol in that building and defend the building. They'll get on the roof and stuff like that, which is really nice. Now, if you were, and like I said at the beginning, where we were like, oh, we're going to have a VIP here or whatever. We're going to say our VIP, which we can narrow down by using character. Grab this officer dude, because he's cool. And we'll just throw him in here. Now, he should be really good at idling, right? It says his AI state is idle. So he should just be chilling here, and, you know, this will be his room. And then if stuff starts happening, he'll react to it accordingly. Now, I'm not too sure on why they're going all the way out here, but they're going to defend around it. So if you really want, and he's going to walk around in here. I don't know why he's crouched, but, you know. So if you want to, you could place, like, individual soldiers in here, which will kind of, like, wander around and all that stuff. You shouldn't really need to give them a definitive order, right? Because ultimately, once it starts getting attacked, they're going to go and engage the contact. Now, if you really don't want this guy to move, right, as an officer, and you want to do something special with him, you can hit C, and you'll remote control the person. So then you could be like, you could stay in here, hold down, have a final stand or whatever, when the players try to come and capture you. Now, for the last of the AI control is going to be the mortars. So if you use these mortar emplacement things, they already have the little ammo box. Do make sure that in here you have supplies off, or else you'll need supplies in the area for them to actually use. And a lot of this goes back to conflict. If you utilize the AI in a conflict, which I know is a big thing now, then you can put a guy here, tell him to get in, he should run over, get on the mortar, and then you tell him, hey, I want you to blow up this hill. And double clicking on it, so you'll place it, and you double click on it, and you'll tell him how many rounds, so we'll do 2, and we'll do HE. So now he should be able to range it. I think it's a little different in conflict. I think you have to have like a radio and request support and all that stuff. But in terms of Game Master, this is how you do hostile artillery fire, say, on their position. Now, it is not 100% accurate, right? Like, I put it up here on this hill, and we'll see how accurate it is. There's 1, 2. Right, so it's a little spaced out in that little circle area. So keep that in mind whenever you're actually dropping artillery on players, right? Because it's not really that fun to get blown up immediately. But definitely does throw shrapnel and stuff around, and definitely spook them a little bit. So for this mission, right, we have our gate guards that are chilling. We have our little patrol. We have our officer. We have two guards in there. Then we have a team patrolling around here. You can put some vehicles around. Let's throw a couple Euros out here. Maybe we'll give him a BTR. We'll grab it, and then we'll throw it inside here, maybe. There you go. And then we're going to take a car. And we'll place it in here, too. A little PKM. And that's pretty much the basics of making a mission, right? So now our players or whoever is going to come in here, and they'll infiltrate and destroy the military site, and they'll capture the high-value target or whatever. So super simple. In terms of vanilla, like, there's not really a lot to expect. Now, the gunfights are going to be pretty good because, like I said again, they will use cover, they'll use smoke, they'll use their grenade launchers and all that stuff. So it makes for an engaging fight. Something else you can do is by going into your scenario properties, which is V for me. I don't know what it's on console. But you can come in here, and there's all different types of stuff in terms of settings that you can set for your scenario, like team killing and all that stuff. You also have like your time of day and time progression, weather, and then you have the scenario general entities, right? So you could set your fuel, your global bleeding rate, regeneration, decommission, wreck salvaging, all that stuff, and enabling unconsciousness. So now in terms of AI settings, again, unless you have mods, there's not going to be much in here in terms of AI settings. The base game has like literally nothing, right? You can't even make them crouch. Nothing. So just keep that in mind. The most that you can do is create a new AI group, which is yay, I guess. If you want to make more people, like say we have these two guys, right? Separate groups. If we want to combine the group, drag and drop on top, and now they'll be in the same group. But other than that, that is the bare minimum basics of game mastering for a PvE scenario. Like I said, and unless you get mods, there's not a whole lot, right? These guys are going to kind of do what they want to do, which makes it a little bit more accurate, but also at the same time, if you're playing vanilla, you're not expecting much anyways, right? So thank you guys for joining. I hope I was able to kind of answer some of the mechanics about the AI and kind of how they operate and things that you can do with them to hopefully increase the awesomeness of your next PvE scenario.